Weigel of Semafor is with us now. You compare and contrast how split the Republican Party is. It was a great piece. And then you got Josh Hawley, the senator from Missouri, out there on the picket line with the UAW workers. Republicans just can't figure out who they are on this, can they?
No, they did 10 years ago. I mean, the Republican Party is responsible for Taft-Hartley. It's responsible for basically preventing American unionization from looking like unionization in France. And right-to-work laws, those are all Republican laws in Republican-led states, one of which Hawley supported. The differences in the Republican primary are between Republicans who kind of stuck to that line, say they want as many people to have jobs as possible, have high wages as possible, but they don't want unions and collective bargaining to be leading on this. Nikki Haley, too, said the same thing. She criticized the 40% pay raise that the workers were asking for. Haley has not had a problem if workers at a private company, a non-organized company, get a big pay raise. And the difference is really between Haley and Scott, who've been out front on this, and Donald Trump, who is getting 55% support in the primary. Praises I should say, though, the difference I put in the article, it's not that he's praising the unions and saying they should get whatever they want. He is doing whatever Republicans are comfortable doing, whatever they think of the UAW, and saying, if I'm president, I'm going to stop implementing electric vehicle mandates and subsidies, and these unions are going to be building combustion engines. Traditional cars are not going to have to worry about their jobs going to some place where it's cheaper to build a battery.
Yeah, but Dave, isn't it a little bit more than this, right? You think about Donald Trump's 2016 victory. He got rural working-class whites, a lot of whom used to be Democrats, either to switch or to come out to the polls for him. That is the new Republican voter. There's a group of union workers who used to be reliable, very reliable Democratic voters that just aren't anymore. Why doesn't Tim Scott and Nikki Haley, among others, understand that?
Well, they're both, importantly, from South Carolina, one of the states that has had right to work for really as long as they've been alive. There is just not a tradition of union politics in South Carolina, certainly not among Republicans. Donald Trump came out not from politics, but came from the business world, and did not have nice things to say about unions when he was a businessman. Not have nice things to say about the UAW. But he was running in 2016 against Hillary Clinton, who started out supporting the Trans-Pacific Partnership, did not want to renegotiate NAFTA, flipped on TPP, didn't really matter what she said on NAFTA. He had a great opening argument to those voters you're talking about, especially in places like Michigan, Macomb County, outside Detroit. What Biden has done, more than Barack Obama, more than Hillary Clinton has, is take for granted the post-Trump trade policies, those differences, and put money into manufacturing. But on top of that, support unions basically in any demand they make. And so the competition between Trump and Biden for union voters is different than it was for Hillary Clinton, even though the polls in some places are much closer. The problem for Democrats is a lot of those voters voted Republican, and you've seen this in lots of countries. They voted Republican once. Culturally, they're much more aligned with the party that is, pro-Second Amendment, pro-life, et cetera, and they've not come back. Those voters who used to be conservative but vote Democrat for union reasons, they haven't come back to the Democrats.
Yeah, especially you think about sort of the more rural conservative values or Republican values that the hunting and the Second Amendment, the things you laid out. We had a UAW worker on just before the strike. We asked her about how she felt about President Biden. She said, I voted for Biden, and he's betrayed me. I'm not going back. She was from Indiana, which is a reliably red state. As we look at this, how much is Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, these three states that have a huge amount of car parts and car manufacturing and big UAW states, how important are those votes going to be in the presidential election?
Well, they're very important. And if you look at how many jobs in the auto industry have been created under Biden, they are up from what they were under Trump. They're comparable to what they were under Barack Obama. That was a huge part of the Barack Obama campaign in 2012, saying, I rescued the auto industry. Your job is safe. Mitt Romney is going to threaten it. That's something that Trump abandoned. That's important. If you really drill down into what this proxy war between Trump and Biden is about right now, I mean, Trump's in the state 24 hours later. It is Trump saying, I'm going to get rid of EV mandates, and it's Biden saying, I'm going to put so much money into the industry for EV that you are going to have reliable jobs for the future. Maybe, yes, there are 5% of the car market now. Tesla owns most of the market. I want, and this is Biden's position, I want in the long term the auto industry in America to be dominating the EV market. That is not the situation right now.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.